Hello Gothic friends, this is Alice and you are in Gothic land. Happy May. Happy month of May. It was Beltane at the end between the 30th of April and the beginning of the 1st of May. And May is a month for flowers, it's a month of fire, it's spring, fertility and monsters. Why not? And since I am from Badalona, which is a seaside town on the outskirts of Barcelona, and we celebrate this month, we celebrate Saint Patron's Day of Badalona, called San Anastasi. And to celebrate this saint, we just cremate, we burned a demon that has been built from, plastic and things, and it gets burned near the sea. But I will talk about that on an article. Today I want us to talk about the monster figure. Why? Because it's something that I've been trying to do for a long time. I told one of the followers that I was going to do this, and also because it seems to be a great month. Everything is coming together for me to be talking about monsters. So before I get into details with the monster, I would like to thank all the new subscribers. Thank you for being here. I hope you're enjoying the channel. I hope that you download all the free stuff that I'm offering you, for you to be a little bit on the ball about what is Gothic and about everything that I do, and also because then you can be part of my email list. And by being in the email list, what you get is that you get priority on information. You get announced when I'm doing courses. You first know what I'm doing, and also then you don't lose the plot. You can have a little bit of a continuity. So today we're going to talk about the monster. So what is a monster? As always, I would like to guide you through definitions, and then I'm going to do some areas, a little classification. So monsters come in all shapes and sizes. Yes, they come from nice and scary monsters like Monsters Inc. for the kids in cartoons and films, to not so nice and nasty, more psychological monsters like maybe the characters like Hannibal Lecter, for example, in books. So this is where I would like to start from today, okay? From the definition of the monster, and to tell you that what I'm going to try to do is to talk a little bit about the physical monster, then the psychological monster, and also their function. This is very interesting for me. This is the educational side of things, to talk to you about the function that the monster has. So let's start with as always, with the Oxford Dictionary definition of the English etymology book, that says monster. Okay, monster, the word monster has acquired different meanings along the years, along history of humanity. So for example, in the 13th century, it was called, or monster was a misshapen creature. In the 16th century, it was a prodigy, a horribly cruel or savage person, even a huge object. It could also be a monster. If we consider the Latin origin monstrum, we will be talking about something marvelous or prodigious, even a divine portent. And this is what we're going to be recuperating a little bit later. So, but it wasn't until the 19th century that this concept takes its full modern meaning, thanks to what is called teratology. Teratology is a scientific discipline in charge of studying abnormal physical deformities already detected in the uterus. As you can imagine, this creates an increasing social interest for the body at the time. Yeah, the 19th century is the period of time we really always end up talking about, because we have inherited a lot of things from this time as well. So this is probably going to make some of you think about the figure, for example, of the Elephant Man. Yeah, we have that the fact that we have a baby or a human being that, due to a deformity, due to a problem, a physical problem, a medical problem, we have a physical deformity. This was seen as a curse, or it was seen like something that it was sent to us from God because we had done something wrong. You can imagine all the connotations that carrying a child that is deformed or that will have some deformities in the future have also for the mother. But this will be another story. So, for example, I'm going to be reading quotes because this is from an article I wrote some time ago that you will also have access to. For example, we have that Catherine Angle, I think it's pronounced like that, Angle. She talks about this case in her paper, Joseph Merrick and the Concept of Monstrosity in the 19th Century Medical Thought. It's a little bit long. Okay, she talks precisely about the Elephant Man. Remember that the Elephant Man was Joseph Merrick. The Elephant Man was the name given to him due to his deformity, his physical deformity. So in this paper, what she says is that presented with an absence of universal medical option, an absence of universal medical opinion, he promoted alternative explanations for his disorder which conflicted with teratological theory. And then she carries on saying that Joseph Merrick's life as an exhibit in a freak show also questioned his place within medicine and the academic legitimacy of those who treated him. And so what we see here is very interesting because we have this physical idea of the monster. Yeah, when we think about monster, the first thing that comes is the fluffy monster for kids, as I said before, or maybe the traditional, the vampire, Frankenstein, yeah, this kind of monster. Or something that comes from the bushes, or something without a shape, or an alien looking like monster. Okay, anything that is not an entity that looks like us. But here, for example, with physical deformity, what we have is a different type of monster because it's a human being that scares us because it reminds us that maybe this could have been us. It also tells us that nature can be cruel. But in the 19th century, the interpretation was more to do with a punishment that came from God of something that we had done wrong, okay? So connected with this idea, we have another book, a book called Monstruos, this is in Spanish, Monstruos al Final del Milenio. It's a book written by Sara Martín Alegre, who is the coordinator of English studies in the University of Barcelona, in the UAB. And she addresses the word monstrare, the Latin word monstrare, instead of monstrum, okay? And she does that to refer to the Roman divinatory methods, which is very interesting because here we have what I was saying before. We have that these divinatory methods were used, the body's malformations as a kind of message. This is what I was saying before, as a kind of message that could be decoded by experts. So based on these interpretations of the nature's look on nature's creations, yes, these things that nature, we don't have, beings can come in all shapes and forms. And so these creations of nature were like a sign of a malign outcome that occurred in a minority of cases. But it comes as no surprise, the rejection that we got from the group of people. In the 19th century, people saw these malformations as something worth displaying. Yeah, I'm trying to find the words and I'm getting a little bit stuck. Something worth displaying and looked at and observed with this morbid. Yeah, you can see this morbid. Nowadays, still people we have when we see people that don't look like we do with some kind of deformity. So Sara Martín also, she says that monsters are also a product of the ancient fear of transformation, which is what I was trying to address before. It reminds us that our bodies are constantly changing. We don't always look the same. Sometimes we put weight on and we don't like ourselves. Sometimes we grow things on them. We have spots, we grow some deformities, and this is fear. Yeah, this produces fear, and we try to eliminate that because if things that make us worry, that we fear, we try to eliminate them. But also these are this fear is culturally universal, and together with the fear of mutation, metamorphosis, or aging, yes, aging changes the body, so that's kind of monstrous as well. From the core of some of the possible physical human changes highly written about in literature, we have that becoming this something else is not something new. It goes back to Christianity. This physical deformity of mutation used to be interpreted as God's punishment for immoral behavior. Okay, so that was used in that time, 19th century. If you were morally immoral, then God punished you, giving you some kind of physical malformation. So you can see here the moral, how heavy it is, when sometimes really we're talking about things we can change that were biologically based and that they had a different explanation, and people they got traumatized. You can imagine all the consequences of this. So if we go on these lines of this punishment, we have, for example, that the creation of other monsters, like the classical monsters we can think of, for example, Dracula by Bram Stoker. This monster is a very good example of that reflects the worries and concerns throughout human history. For example, the Victorian fears of the foreign, but also sexuality, also homosexuality, and also the rise of the new woman. So it wasn't just the monster as a physical thing that scares you at night and in the dark. It was also everything that meant this monster, everything that it impersonated. Okay, there's a lot of work and research on this area. If you look at Dracula and you look for papers, there are lots of people writing about this point of view, how it represents the fears of the time. So this is something that we can read in Valentina Kovac's paper called Bram Stoker's Dracula: Fears and Anxieties in the Victorian Society. As I said, there are many people doing research on this area. You know, the vampire, we keep coming back to it. It's always attractive. We always feel fascinated. We feel fascination about him, and it doesn't cease to be a monster. But although there is this general rejection of the monster, you know, sometimes attraction, like with Dracula, what happens when the frontier between the other, which will be the monster, and us, the human, start vanishing, is when we're talking about a different type of monster. An example of this happens with the werewolf figure. And a very good book that talks about this in a story, and that is a modern book, is this one. Okay. So here we go. We have Mad Dog by J.R. Park. And I love it because it says at the top precisely what I'm talking about. It talks about we're all monsters on the inside. That means, I mean, I'm not going to do a review of the book here now because it deserves its own space. But really, we have this traditional werewolf idea, the monster figure. But the werewolf it cohabits in the border, because we have that it's a human being that, due to natural influences of the moon, it changes its form and its shape and goes from being a rational with feelings and normal humankind person to become a monster, to become a killer, to become irrational. So this is something that, for example, J.R. Park works with very well in a modern from a modern point of view. Okay, so what is the role of the monster then at the end of the day? So in a traditional sense, the monster does not follow rules, so it goes against society, it's irrational like a wild animal, and the actions are based on pure instinct, and in some cases triggered by external elements, like we were saying with the werewolf. But other times the monster is not only that. The monster can also, the physical monster shares the irrationality part that also human beings have. For example, when we are talking about mental problems, so we are here in the psychoanalysis side of the spectrum. So when we have mental problems, as I said, but also when we have the self-perception. Yeah, a monster could be you in front of the mirror. You don't see yourself as a human being, you see something else. It can also be something culturally coded, or it can make a reference to culturally coded beliefs. Okay, so modern monsters are more human, like you know, they're more human-like because they mask this madness, and they are a reflection or personified social fears. But if we analyze the monsters, we fear that we are analyzing who we are ourselves as individuals and in a society. Yeah, I'm looking at my papers all the time because I don't want to miss a thing. It's a complex concept, and as I said before, a lot of people talk about monsters. But another great example, and I'm going to close with this, is what we see with Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde, because this is a great representative of the beautiful monster within that is living in an uncanny reality and in the crossing of the mental and the physical borders. So we have the physical monster, yes, the one that we see, the one that scares us, but then we have the psychological, and then we have like these borderline monsters that are both they have everything. They have the physical appearance of the monster, but they also psychologically disturbed. So this is more scary. The more they are like us, the more scary it gets. We have to say that. Okay, so this is for today about monsters. It could be a little bit confusing. I'm going to write an article about it, so you will be able to see the link about the article here in the video, or if not, you can go and visit me on my blog, my webpage, gothicalice.com, where you will see other articles also connected to the monsters, like the zombie, for example. And if you are still trying to figure out all about the Gothic, and you want to have like a brief introduction to the Gothic from its origins to modern times, then all you have to do is also to click on the link that I have here, and you can download this 45 minutes of a free presentation with images and with the slides about the Gothic. Okay, and I have other free material, so feel free to look through all the videos, feel free to download as many things as you want. I am in the process of creating courses now and things for July, so keep an eye on the channel, because a lot of nice things are coming this way. So I hope you have enjoyed this video. Thank you very much, and have a monstrous week. Thank you. See you soon. Bye.